Hello, today we're going to talk about the three-circle um, diagram of being able to draw the face with the Byzantine proportions. And I think that this will help all of us to draw better icons, particularly icon faces. This is from Egon Sendler's book, Icon Image of the Invisible, which I highly recommend. I'm just going to read you a couple of things from what he says about this. The proportions of the face, the theory of the three circles. And for the proportions of the face and its details, the Byzantine iconographer also used the module, which was always equal to the length of the nose. So I'll be showing you that in a minute. The head was thus inscribed in two circles, with the halo often being determined by a third. The center of the circles was found at the root of the nose between the two eyes. This is probably why this part of the nose is drawn in a special way in Byzantine art. The root of the nose is also the center of the head and the seat of wisdom. So this is the root of the nose, which I think you can see, which is the interstices of the horizontal and the vertical. And you can see how from the horizontal to the first end of the first circle, it's the length of the nose. And then from the length of the nose, it's another length of the nose to the other circle, which you see going around his head. And then the third circle that he was talking about would go around the circle here, which circumscribes the head. So we're going to work on drawing this today, drawing it together and creating a simple way that you can do this. And I hope that you do this over and over again until you get it kind of ingrained in your system. And it will help a lot of problems, drawing problems that develop often along the way. So we're going to start just with a piece of paper, ordinary drawing paper, and a ruler. And we're going to just start with drawing a line. And we'll mark a center point here. And for that, now we will go ahead and draw our first circle. So I'm just adjusting this to a proportion that I think that I will like. Could be anything really, because once we have drawn this circle, we have defined this space here from the horizon here, the horizontal line, to the outer edge here. We see that that is 4 of these centimeters, and it's that way all the way around. So when we go to draw the next circle, we're going to want that to be double. So if this is 4 centimeters from here, we're going to want to have this be 4 centimeters. Which is roughly double. From here to here is 1, and from here to here is 2. So now I'll put my compass point in the center again, and this time I'll expand the compass so that it reaches this other point here, which is here. Make sure you can see me here. So these are the 2 circles. And the third circle, if we did it, would be up here. We could do that, why don't we, since this is the theory of the three circles. So again, I would want to have it go for 4 centimeters. So it's always going to be 4 centimeters here, 4 centimeters here, and here, from here to here. Just checking. So I'll start again in here at the center. And now I have to make my compass go big enough to reach this outer mark. So this would be here. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and start drawing now that we've got our 3 circles. Okay, so we talked about before how from the center point down to here, this would be where the nose ends. So we could pretty much count on the nose being here. And then we have this keeps coming up to here. And then we have the eyebrows coming up here. I'm just sketching lightly now. Make sure you can see. And the nose is coming down to here, so we have these kind of nostrils here. And then we have coming here the pupils of the eyes touch this horizon line right here. So if the pupil is going to be here, then that means this line here is going to come right into here like so. And then this line comes down to here. Of course, we will have this iris going around it. And from here, we have the upper eyelid and the lower eyelids. I'm just going to indicate them now because we're just doing this for proportional reasons. But it would be pretty easy to draw a really nice portrait face just from what we have from doing it this way. So then you have the iris coming around here. So when I do this, it really helps me to see. You can measure, like I can see how this is smaller than this, and I will go back and correct that. Certainly if I was doing this as for a real drawing, I would do that. So this method helps us to kind of figure out where things are and where they should be. So coming down here, we have this part of the mouth, and then he just kind of indicates the line here. We could do this on another lesson, really draw the mouth the way it should be drawn. And then basically the chin comes down to here and just kind of this comes up here. This side of the face comes in here. And let's see, so this outer, this should really come over to, according to this comes all the way over to here, this comes all the way over to here. Maybe not that far down, maybe more up like that. So what I'm doing is I'm coming to the edge of the circle here, and the top of the circle from here to the top of the circle, and then from the top of the circle up here is the hairline, and this is going to come just over to here. And this will come down to here. And then we have the hairline itself coming up to here. This one, I'm just copying this model here with the long hair coming out. And the model has this pointed beard here, but I'm not going to put that in. I'm not crazy about that pointed beard, but you get the idea here of how these, just having these proportions really, really help. It's the theory of the three circles. And I've taught you before about how you can find the exact center line too, which is helpful in drawing. And so from here, I think what you would really want to know is that once you've got these proportions correct, then most of your drawing problems are going to disappear. You just take off this part of the circle you don't really need. Just taking out the extra parts of the circle. So I'll leave a little bit of this showing, but I want to read you one more thing that Egon Sendler said about this. So this is kind of important. The circular structure is an aid for the artist without being the necessary condition of the design. So in other words, this circle, the theory of the three circles, is an aid to help us in getting our, the pupils of our eyes in the right place, the eyebrows, all of this is symmetrical, right? And the proportions, that the edge of the eyes go to the edge of this circle and comes to the bridge of the nose here, and the bottom of the chin goes to the second circle. So when we do this, we have the correct proportions. However, what he's also saying is it's not the necessary condition of the design, which means some drawings have like longer noses than others. Some have eyes that are more closely set. Some have foreheads that come further down than this particular one did. And they're all correct. But as an aid toward creating your drawings, if you will practice in your sketchbooks, using this to come up with your drawing, you will always have correct proportions. And then once you have the drawing, if I want to make the nose longer, I certainly can. If I want to make the eyes closer in, I certainly can. If I want to develop the mouth more, I certainly would do that. And from here, that's how we start to develop the face and have the correct proportions. It's pretty simple, isn't it, really? But it's a discipline. I mean, when I start to draw, I want to just draw. I seldom say to myself, oh, I feel like using the compass and a ruler. That's just not what I like to do. But I do it because I can pretty much guarantee that my proportions are going to be correct. And that's a key element to Byzantine iconography. So it's also a key element in Egyptian iconography as well, this system of proportions. And we'll talk about that in another video. All right, I hope this is helpful to you, and I'd love to see some of your drawings on Patreon. So go ahead and email them to me or post them on Patreon, and we'll talk about them from there. God bless.